But seriously, 12 boys in our dormitory. It is a wonderful way to have an experience and to bring up my children. But it's chaotic, and I would not have it any other way. I really love the school and my time there, and was fortunate. After that, I graduated after my time as a student, and I went on to Harvard University. I was fortunate enough, again, that kid that my mom and dad wanted me to be. I was able to become that student, truly. And it wasn't magic. 2 + 2 was 4 at my old middle school, my old high school. 2 + 2 was 4 at the Hill School. I talk a lot about my experience there in terms of the confidence that I gained, the engagement that I gained. I became school president at the Hill School, which is something I never ever would have done in my own public high school. Never. I was a fly on the wall. I was just willing to get by. And I went to the Hill School, and I was able, and really what it was is I found adults. Just as Judy mentioned, the adults in her son's life, the adults her advisor, or their advisor, the adults and teachers who have made and give so much time, frankly, that's what I found. I found adults who cared about me, who weren't my mom and dad. And that was for me incredibly empowering. It gave me the confidence to take risks, the confidence to do things that frankly probably didn't think were possible. And so I had a fantastic experience at Hill, was able to gain admission to Harvard University and had a fantastic 4 years there. I was an athlete at Harvard. I was an ice hockey player. Ice hockey for me was part of the reason I started looking at boarding school. And I was able to turn those talents into a 6-year professional career. So I left Harvard University and I went on to play 6 years of professional ice hockey. I achieved, and in many ways that was my dream, to be a pro. I played in the NHL. I have hockey cards and video games. I can show my kids all of those things. My 9- and 7-year-old boys, they think, oh, Dad, although now they ask me when they watch games on TV, they said, Dad, why don't you play anymore? And I say, well, guys, I wasn't good enough, and I got old, and it didn't work. But I played 6 years of professional ice hockey, and then at a certain point, I started to have some kids and a family, and I knew that I needed to turn a page. And my entire life, I was very supportive parents. They always, allowed me to make choices and decisions. And even part of the reason and decision to go to a place like Harvard is obviously it's a world-class education, maybe the world-class education perhaps. But that's the one thing that I had control over, was my education. Nobody could ever take that away from me. My hockey career was taken away from me. I wasn't good enough, they didn't give me a contract, so I couldn't play anymore. But my education is one thing that nobody can ever take away from me. And the decisions that I made that led me to there, I'm very proud of and very thankful for my parents to have got me to that point. And again, it's part of the reason why I've come back now to work at Hill, is because I value the experience that I had there, and to do it in the admission office, to do it in this role of going around the world, right? Our office is around the world on any given year around our country, talking to families and students about what it is to be at Hill. I find it very easy, to be honest. I don't consider this a job. It was a really important experience, and so to talk and share this with all you, I'm happy to do so. You will see I'm going to cheat a little bit, and gosh, for as long as I've been at Hill, why would I need to cheat to talk about my school? To be honest, Judy asked me to kind of keep it to 20 minutes. I said, well, how do I keep this to 20 minutes? The place changed my life. So I try to make a couple points to keep myself, I suppose, on track. But I'll do so similar to the way that Phil did. Phil talked in 3 ways that Hill affected him. I'm going to talk with all you in 3 ways of why the Hill School, right? That's why you're here tonight. Why the Hill School? There are on the number of maybe 300 U.S. boarding schools that you could consider, right? There's a lot of us. We're all different shapes and sizes. So again, I'm going to come back to this question all night of why the Hill School? Why Hill? My goal, frankly, is for all of you to leave this room tonight and say, why not the Hill School? How can you not look at the Hill School? So let's start with a phrase that you will see on virtually every piece of literature that we have at our school right now, the family boarding school. How many of you have seen that before? How many of you, come on, some of you interviewed with me today. I know you've seen it because you were asking me about it. The family boarding school, that is Hill. That is synonymous with who we are, the family boarding school. We were founded that way. That was our original name. We were the very first school in the United States to have faculty, adults, teachers, faculty, living with students. Now, if you know about boarding schools, that no longer makes us unique, right? Every other school in our country, frankly, has emulated our model. We started that model of having faculty and children live together, and again, it doesn't make us unique anymore. But the tradition of the family boarding school certainly does. We're proud of that heritage, proud of the fact that we started that model, and it's carried over in a few ways. The Hill School is an extremely traditional school. maybe one of the most traditional schools you will find in our country. Whether it be the dress code from day to day that our students share, our seated meals, our chapel services, our advisory system even. We are a very, very traditional school, rooted, and in some ways we've been this way for the last 150, 60 some years, since 1850 when we were founded. We're an extremely traditional school. Another way I think in terms of the family boarding school, is our dormitory system. So much of boarding school happens in the dormitories. We keep smaller dormitory numbers, right? We have large buildings, but each hall, each dormitory might be 10 to 16 kids. Maybe big for some families, but the idea that the kids in your dorm, you'll get to know them. The faculty in your dorm, you'll get to know them. Our advisory group's even smaller than that. 4 students, 7 students. And that relationship, advisor and advisee, that is meant to span the entire career of a student at the Hill School. Advisors don't change. The experiences perhaps that a student might go through in their 9th grade year, they might draw on those as a group, as an advisor and advisee, talking about the challenges they face as senior year. But that idea of family, of support, because so much, and even as Phil touched on it, that change, that transformation that happens, you shouldn't be forced as students to go through it alone. And at our school, you are not. You are supported by a vast network, sometimes as many as 10 or 12 adults instantly. An advisor, a dorm parent, 5 or 6 teachers, a coach or program leader, the person who sits at the end of your dining hall table. Students, all of us as adults are going to be in your life. We are going to take an interest in who you are, an interest in your goals. We're going to ask you more than just what your name is. We're going to find out where you're from, what you like, are you having a good day or a bad day. This happens every single day at the Hill School. It is just a fabric of what we are. But that idea of family and community, it is more than just lip service. It is more than just words on a piece of paper. Again, it's difficult to convey that sense until maybe you can come to our campus and feel it and see it. But hearing parents and alums talk about the experiences that they had, the family boarding school is real, and it's true, and it's a part of what we do. As part of that, talk about the types of kids that we have, and I love the word that Phil used, that word being competitive, because that's a big part of excellence, right? We want our students to pursue excellence. Our community wants to pursue excellence. I will add something to that word, though, that I believe as competitive as our kids are, maybe as ambitious as our kids are, they are equally humble. And they are equally kind to each other. We see this every day. Our kids want to do well. Our kids want to be the best, but never, ever at the expense of one another. The Hill School is not a community that rewards students for getting ahead of another, right? A student wants to get ahead, but a student wants their peer, their friend, their roommate, their advisory mate to do just as well. It's a very incredibly supportive community. And again, for me, as an alum, I hope that never changes. It was that way when I was a student there. It's that way now. Perhaps maybe if my kids go there one day, I want to see that supportive feel, that family feel never leave. Number 2, talk about everything that happens in a boarding school. We are extremely fortunate to have world-class facilities across the entire spectrum of what occurs at our school. Our opportunities, our campus truly is, as we say, and I don't know if there's an equivalent saying, it's one-stop shopping. Imagine a place where everything that you do, there's no more traffic at the Hill School. Is Hong Kong traffic kind of an issue to get around maybe? Yeah, as we found out on our way over. There's no more traffic, right? To get from a practice to a lesson, to get from school to home, right? Sometimes you have to say, well, I can't do this because I need to do that. Well, what about a 5-minute walk from your dormitory to a practice room where you go and take a private lesson on the violin perhaps, and then you need to leave from there and you head right back up to English class. Again, a 5-minute walk. No cars, no traffic, it's all right there at your fingertips. Right? That is what is possible on a campus like ours. Perhaps maybe sports, students in this room might be interested in those. We've got playing fields, we've got golf courses, ice rinks, pools, basketball, you name it. 30 sports played across boys and girls over 3 seasons. Right? Perhaps you bring some interest to our campus, something you already do, you're already passionate about, you're good at. Perhaps it's something you've never done before. Right? Maybe you want to try a new sport that either your school doesn't offer now because they don't have the facility. Again, I'm the ice hockey coach, so sometimes kids have never seen or played ice hockey or skated. You can do that right on our campus. Right? Other sports, again, access to in different seasons, we want to make that possible. And we don't want to make you choose. We don't want you to have to say, well, gosh, I would really love to try golf, but I also want to be a musician, or I want to be in the play, or I want to perform community service. We make as many of those things possible at any given time. It's your energy, frankly, and maybe the fact that we only have 24 hours in the day. That's about the only limitation. But we have a tremendous amount of opportunities on our campus, world-class facilities. Right? It's all there right at your fingertips. And I think it's worth adding, as I get and start to get towards academic excellence, doing those sorts of things, right? Those activities, while they can be fun, there's also a purpose to them, right? To enhance your college profile, because let's be serious, you don't come to the Hill School unless you want to pursue collegiate university level education, and part of that process is being a well-rounded applicant.